My parents had a beautiful log cabin up in the mountains that my family would regularly visit every winter for the holiday season. I was the youngest of 4 siblings. I had 3 older brothers as well as 1 older sister. We all had keys to the cabin, but lived in separate parts of the country, so we would all arrive there at different times. This year, for whatever reason, I decided I wanted to be the very first one to arrive to the cabin. Looking back on it, I am not entirely sure what made me want to do this, but I digress. I took a flight to Colorado, where our cabin was located. I timed it just right, so I would arrive a full 3 hours before my parents' and siblings' estimated time of arrival. Once I finally got to the cabin, I noticed that a light was on from inside of the home, but there were no cars outside in the driveway. Damn it, someone beat me here, I thought to myself. I knocked on the front door, but didn't receive an answer, so I just ended up unlocking the door myself. I stepped inside the warm cabin and shut the door behind me. I went upstairs to put my belongings away and shouted, "Mom? Dad? I'm home," assuming that my parents were the ones who got here first. But nobody responded, which I thought was a bit odd, but I just continued unpacking all of my things. Once I was finished, I went back downstairs to try and find my parents or siblings or whoever was home, but I found no one. Maybe I am the only one here after all. But why were the lights on? I thought to myself. When a few moments later, I heard the sound of the front door opening. I made my way over to the front, expecting to see a family member, but instead, I was standing face to face with the creepiest girl I had ever seen in my entire life. She was probably in her early 20s and had very long black hair that covered most of her face. She was wearing one of my mom's winter coats, and she had some of my family's belongings in her hands. I ordered her to drop our stuff and get the fuck out. She dropped everything, but she didn't leave the house. She continued to stand there, and I told her, "If you don't walk out right now, I will throw you out." I am a pretty big guy, so I was surprised when she wasn't fazed by my threats. She just stood there, kinda motionless and expressionless. I became enraged by this point, and I started walking towards her, when she suddenly ran to the right, directly into the kitchen. I chased after her, and wasn't that far behind. But somehow she was now out of sight. I was in shock, because there's no way she could have disappeared that quickly. The only way she could have gone was from the kitchen to the yard, but I never heard the door open. I looked out the window, but didn't see any sign of her. She must be hiding, I thought to myself. I scanned the room when I noticed a foot was sticking out from underneath the table, which was covered by a long tablecloth. I pulled on her leg in attempts to get her out of there. She started yelling by this point, which exposed her yellow teeth. They were a really gross, dark yellow-brown color, and she lunged towards my hand that was on her ankle, and she fucking bit my wrist, which caused me to release my grip. I fell to the floor, and she ran straight out the front door. I called the police department, as well as my family. My parents and siblings arrived before the cops did, and they were in complete disbelief at what I had just told them. When the cops arrived, they did manage to find some footprints in the snow, but it never led to the intruder. Upon further investigation, we found out that she must have broken in and had been living inside of this home for God knows how long, considering it was just our vacation home and it was usually unoccupied. I, of course, went to the doctor for my bite, and thankfully it wasn't infected. I'm not sure whatever became of that weird girl, but we did end up selling the cabin a couple of months right after the incident.